Hello, my name is Troy Fenton and this is my pitch for the final major project. During this course so far, all my projects have been very art-based, although I've never touched on 3D art as it's a bit of a grey area and I'm not very experienced in it. However, during the research phase of my last project, I was looking for inspiration on ArtStation and I stumbled upon 3D sculpting, and instantly it became an idea for what I wanted to do for my F&P. I found it really inspiring seeing people being able to recreate my favourite characters from things such as Arcane and Into the Spider-Verse in 3D with such detail, and since it's art-based it relates to my work so far. So I thought what better time than the F&P to learn a new skill and expand my abilities into 3D art. So that's why I want to do this project, but what do I hope to produce during this project? During my learnings, I'll be making all sorts of practice models since I want to have fun with this project at the end of the day. Just small things such as custom Funko Pops or something to practice the elements of sculpting, with my final goal being to make a bust model of a character from one of my favourite franchises, or if that's not allowed, I can make use of a character I designed last year. The final deliverable will be a model in .blend format. Yes, I'm using Blender. Due to travel issues, I will have to be remote for this project, which is why I'm not stood in front of you today. So Blender is my software of choice as it's free, therefore avoiding any complications with my work. Now let's talk about some of the research I'll be doing. For my secondary research, I'll be making use of great sources such as Jan Sculpt on YouTube, whose videos you have just seen in the background. Jan has around 26 videos on his YouTube channel which are tutorials, and I'll be using this as a goldmine of information. Although there are many great sources out there for ZBrush sculpting, Blender is lacking those sources, therefore Jan is very helpful in this situation. I may still make use of ZBrush tutorials, however I will not be able to apply it in the same way as I would if I was to use a Blender tutorial. And since this is an art project, I can't really find written tutorials as easily as I would if I was to do coding. So following tutorials and reflecting on my learnings while showing examples of what I learned will probably be the main form of my research. As for my primary research, I will do things such as asking my family for their opinions on my work so far, as well as asking my classmates through email or Discord. I may also make use of questionnaires in order to ask people what ideas or suggestions they may have to change my final deliverable idea and improve it. Now for how I aim to evaluate this project. So for the 3 projects before this one, I have been doing daily evaluations, daily written evaluations, and I find that sometimes I can have a very uneventful day and just not really get much new done apart from just carrying on with work I'd already started. So I think for this project I'm going to do weekly evaluations, and I may even do videos just like this one. Without obviously going to all this effort to edit it, I can just put footage of the work I have completed, discuss how all of those things went, what did I learn from them, what went well, what went bad, what I'd do better next time, etc. Because I know from all the previous projects I've done that my evaluation has been my weakest point by far, so I think I need to try something new this time. Alright, and to wrap it up, I'm going to talk about my project timetable. So the deadline for this project is the 17th of May. From today, we have 13 weeks to complete our project. On screen right now is my project timetable from my proposal document, and I'm going to go ahead and briefly walk you through it. So starting with week 1, that ends today, we have planning my project out and pre-production. And I'll be using the Google Suite, which I did in fact use. I did not use Blender this week. Week 2, starting on the 20th of February, I'll be working on my contacts page / research because I want to get this done and begin the practical after the week off half term so it's fresh in my mind and I don't forget anything. On to week 4, I said depending on my progress on planning, context and research work, I'll possibly begin some practical introducing myself to Blender sculpting, although there's a large amount of site work to do. Like I said, I want to keep the sculpting stuff fresh in my mind, so I may just square away my context and research just to get it out of the way so I can focus completely on my sculpting. Okay, by week 5, I hope to be working on my practical work, reflecting on what I've learned and where I've learnt it from using Google, YouTube and Blender. Week 6, it's just more of the same, continuing developing skills in sculpting, following tutorials to help my progress. Then during week 7, I want to send out the questionnaires I mentioned earlier to gather feedback on my progress before I begin my final deliverable. I will then have a month to work on my final deliverable if I choose to work during half term, which I probably will not, before I begin reflecting on my project as a whole, research, practical and how I've developed since the beginning, before the week of the deadline where I follow any checklists / feedback I may have been given to ensure my site is complete in time for the deadline. And hopefully by then I'll be able to sculpt with my eyes closed. And that is it. Thank you for listening to my pitch. If you do have any questions, be sure to ask, but if I am correct and we have a 5-minute limit, then you have 20 seconds to do so.